We're on day 2 of the letter E. Using a pen like a Tombow, but a very light gray, this is the ABT N75, which is pretty light. If you are comfortable with downstrokes and upstrokes, you can go in and draw those on. Using a light gray will give you a base for you to still be able to add your illustration, and it will be covered up by any other colors that you might be using for the illustration itself. Before you go and draw with any sort of felt pen on your pencil, you want to give it a quick erase to take away that extra lead, but still leave yourself with your guideline. This would also be a good time to go in and erase any bunny ears that you might have, or the sections of the E that you are not going to be tracing over. Knowledge of brush lettering is not necessary in order to create your E, but it can be really easy to create these downstrokes with the proper pen and the proper knowledge. If you haven't yet learned how to do brush lettering, and that's something that you would be interested in, using one pen to create your thicks and thins, you can check out the course that I have linked down below, which is a foundational course for doing brush lettering. It teaches you every single letter of the alphabet and ensures that you have a great foundation, not only for individual letters, but also for words and short sentence compositions. If you don't have a brush pen, you can go in with your pencil and on either side of your lines, imagine the areas where you would be drawing it down. So here it's going across and here it's starting to go down. In this section, you're drawing down the page, which is called a downstroke, and that would be an area that you'd want to draw in nice and thick. You can just go in and draw on either side of the line that you've created as a guideline. Any area where your pen would be going down the page or pencil, you want to thicken that up. The areas where your pen would be going across or up the page should stay relatively thin and should always be thinner than your downstrokes. Go in and draw out your letter with your upstrokes and downstrokes, and then we're also going to start to illustrate. So don't worry if your letter isn't completely perfect. A lot of that actually is going to be hidden in the illustration area. But that's what this is giving us. This is giving us our area for illustration. Now, what I thought would look really beautiful is if we sort of have leaves growing off of the ends of some of these portions of the E. So the tail ends. It's already sort of shaped like a leaf, but we can go in and actually draw in little leaves to create the ending of the E. So it's like it's morphing from our regular letter into this beautiful, it could even be like feathers, beautiful leaf section of the E. Just draw that until it seems like it would naturally go away, or you can continue and do a pattern all the way through your letter. So after you've done your ends, just with simple leaf shapes, you can go in and do your downstrokes next. Now, you might have your leaves, to make them look more natural, coming out over the edges rather than being totally perfectly arrayed. So think about having some of those points hanging over. This almost reminds me sort of a dragon scale. Ooh, you could even do it as a dragon scale. That would look really neat. These thin areas, probably you'll only get 1, maybe 2 of your leaves, and then continue all the way around. Starting in the thicker areas just gives you more space to work with, and that's where your leaves will be more obvious. So it makes sense to then focus on that part first. Once you have put in all of your leaves, if you have an area where you want to have a few leaves blowing off, like it's continuing, that's something that you can do. Or they could be blowing across. You could have a few extras floating around on the outside. That's totally up to you and your personal vision for your letter.